In the first-person puzzle game Quantum Conundrum, your uncle has gone missing and it's up to you to save him by shifting dimensions to solve puzzles.
Once upon a time. That's how these things usually start, yeah? I can invent a glove that completely changes the laws of quantum mechanics. Don't let your emotions get in the way of a clearly logical solution.
I'm probably not as big of a gamer as the next guy, but I do enjoy playing games, and the ones I like to play the most are puzzle games, with my favorite being Portal. So that being said, as soon as I heard about Quantum Conundrum, I was sold, I was ready to play, because it seemed to be the same as Portal in the sense that you had to, put a box on a thing that opened a door to get through into the next chamber. And obviously it looked like it had a twist, it had a different style and a different tone, and also there were different ways that you solved the puzzles, but in general, I was really excited for it. And while it does have some problems, overall, it's a really, really fun game. Great puzzles. Anyone that's a fan of Portal, I think, will really enjoy this game, and I think that it's fair to include Portal in the discussion here and compare them in a way, because, in case you don't know, Kim Swift, one of the lead designers of Portal from back in the day, who left Valve to work on other things, went to work on this. So she is the lead designer of this game as well. So obviously very similar, and they are able to be compared for that reason. But let's get a little bit more in depth with Quantum Conundrum itself, starting off with the story, which unfortunately is kind of the lacking thing in this game. And I mean, you play the game for the puzzles, obviously, in these types of games. I'm playing for the puzzles, so I can accept that the story is kind of but this story is definitely just there to facilitate the existence of the game, I guess you could say. It's very, very light, and of course, without giving anything away, the ending is so abrupt that you feel like you just had the rug pulled out from under you. And, after playing the whole game, you want a little bit more of an ending, and it's definitely not worth it. I mean, it's worth it to play the puzzles, but if you're really into the story, don't get too excited. But like I said, I am in it for the puzzles, and the puzzles are great. You basically shift through dimensions. The way it works is you have the fluffy dimension, which makes everything light, and you can pick up like a safe. You have the heavy dimension, which makes a cardboard box really heavy, makes everything heavy, but you get the idea. Then you have the slow dimension, which makes everything slow-mo. It's really cool. And finally, the reverse gravity dimension, which I personally think is the handiest, because, well, actually, I guess you kind of need the slow-mo as well. That's the thing about the game. You really need everything working together. What I was going to say is you can throw a box, jump on top of it, and then kind of, reverse gravity yourself across a room. But I just realized you need slow-mo for that, and you may even need fluffy for that if it's a safe, so you can pick up the safe and throw it. So you actually do need everything, and that's a perfect example. I tried to suggest that you don't, and you do. But as you can imagine, it gets kind of fast-paced in that sense. Like, you throw something, then you gotta switch dimensions to slow-mo, climb up a ladder, quickly switch dimensions to reverse gravity. And sometimes it gets to the point where you need to press buttons in a certain sequence so quickly that if you goof up, you might have to do it over and over again. And this is where the only problem I had comes in. Once you understand how to solve the puzzle, it gets so annoying when you're trying to jump onto something and you can't, because for someone like me, I am in it for the puzzles, like I said, so it's kind of like, once I solve the puzzle, I'm done. I'm out of there, you know what I mean? I want to leave this room. I figured it out. I'm good. So if it's the type of thing where you solve the puzzle, and then you need to make sure you jump over something and land on it perfectly, it's a little bit tough to land sometimes, because the first-person view, it doesn't really give you the widest view, in the sense that you can't really see where you're landing unless you're looking down, but sometimes you need to be looking up. So it can be a little bit wonky in that sense, but overall, I guess that's the challenge. But really, once you figure out the puzzle, it gets so irritating when you can't finish the room, because you get it, but they won't let you go. This, I have to say, was most annoying when you're falling, not to give anything away, but this is very Portal 2, by the way. When you're falling down the big well, or whatever the heck it is, and you have to dodge things and dodge the lasers and stuff. I did that, I think, more times than anything else in the game. It was so annoying. But those are very, very small complaints. They're not even complaints, it's just me complaining that it was too challenging in some spots. And the tone of the game, I'd like to talk a little bit about the tone and the humor of the game, because this is very interesting. It's got sort of a whimsical, childish tone. It almost looks like a Disney game, like you expect Mickey to pop out at any moment. But the writing is, I don't want to say it's adult, because that sounds like it's different than I mean. It's just not for kids almost. The writing, and the monologue, really, not dialogue, the monologue, I guess, from the professor are very sort of in-depth and scientific in some spots, and a lot of the jokes are very scientific, so I feel like a child wouldn't understand, like, any of the writing, but hopefully they would understand how the puzzles work. And it's most evident when you die, and it says things that you will never experience, which is hilarious, by the way. That's a sick little twist that makes it, once again, not for kids in that sense, because it's, like, a little bit morbid, like, too morbid for the style of the game. It seems way kiddier than some of the morbid humor in the game, but I love those. I wanted to die sometimes just to see them. I actually, for a while, was just killing myself to read more, and I would love to read just a full list of them because I thought they were very, very funny. And the last little thing to talk about, because there's really only one voice in the game, is the acting. And the voice acting for Professor Quadrangle, I think his name is, or Quadrangle. John Delancey did an awesome job. I thought that his voice was fantastic, and I don't know who did the little sounds for Ike, but I thought was interesting, kind of odd. It's like they're setting up like a whole sort of franchise with that character, because it seems like the type of thing people would really become a fan of and like have pictures of on their wall.
Oh, that creature there is an interdimensional kinetic entity, or Ike. As a rule, don't look directly into his eyes. Trust me.
But I thought that little Ike was adorable, but the professor was awesome. His voice was great, the jokes were great, the writing was, I thought it was pretty sharp, a little bit less intense than, something you might expect from Portal, but it was definitely some witty humor, and I really, really enjoyed that. So, like I said, for Portal fans, I think they're really going to enjoy this game, although, once again, the tone is a little bit more childish overall. And the last tiny little thing about this game that I absolutely loved, and is huge for me, that I played with a lot, is the fact that the portraits change when you change dimensions. So, for example, there was like a big portrait of Professor Quadrangle, and when you go to like Fluffy Dimension, all of a sudden he's in a bunny suit, and if you go to Heavy Dimension, he looks like a heavy metal guy, like a rocker, and I thought that that was fantastic. It reminded me of the Haunted Mansion at Disney World, and I just really, really loved that. I loved the details, the attention to details in this game. When you change dimensions and you look at any object and it changes with the dimension, so, a book would become like a little tin case when you go to the Heavy Dimension, and I just really loved all the details in the game. I really enjoyed the game overall, save for the abrupt ending and kind of the weak story. The puzzles were great. As a Portal fan, I really think that it is right up there with Portal, in terms of puzzle fun, not in terms of story. But overall, I did have a lot of fun with Quantum Conundrum, and I want to know what you guys think. Are you fans of Portal? Have you played Portal? What do you think compared to Portal? Once again, I think it's fair to compare them because Kim Swift was the lead designer on both. Let me know what you thought of the game overall. What did you think of the puzzles? Did you think they were difficult? Are you a puzzle gamer? What did you think of the tone and the setting and the style kind of being a little childish, but the writing being kind of darker humor? What was your favorite dimension? I want to know if you can pick one, because it's kind of hard. There's one part where you have to pick one dimension to use, and I was like, oh god, what do I pick? And it was really difficult for me. I don't know which one is my favorite, but let me know which one is yours. Let me know anything that you want about Quantum Conundrum, and that's pretty much it.
That was incredible. I mean, there's some room for improvement.